The first line of the diary was written in shaky ink, a confession so cold it seemed impossible that it came from the hand of a 16-year-old boy. They think taking my phone will save them, but it's already too late. It was the first clue investigators found, lying open on the floor beside the blood-spattered bed where everything had begun. Just hours before the murders, the house had looked painfully normal, a 2-story suburban home humming with everyday life. Homework on the kitchen table, laundry half-folded on the couch, the smell of chicken stew simmering on the stove. But beneath the surface, the family was fraying. The parents, Daniel and Marie, were drained from years of walking on eggshells around their son, Evan. He was brilliant, quiet, and unsettling in ways they could never fully name. Teachers described him as too observant. Classmates avoided him, and his younger sister whispered that she caught him talking to himself in the dark. But what the family didn't know, what no one knew, was what was on Evan's phone. The arguments had been escalating for weeks. He'd stopped speaking at dinner, stopped sleeping at night, stopped pretending he was okay. When his parents finally confiscated his phone after another mysterious late-night incident, they assumed they were making a tough but necessary parenting decision. They didn't realize they had just triggered everything he'd been preparing. The first secret was discovered when Marie opened the phone and found a hidden folder disguised as a calculator app. Inside were hundreds of recordings, disturbing voice notes of Evan whispering about people in the house watching him, mocking him, following him. There were also pictures of the neighbors taken from the bushes, drawings of eyes carved into the margins of his homework, and long manifesto-style notes about becoming free. Some entries sounded like rage. Others sounded like devotion. All of them revealed a mind splitting in two, one piece terrified and the other piece hungry. When Daniel tried to confront him, Evan didn't speak. He just watched them with an expression that made Marie's stomach hollow out, an expression of quiet triumph, as if they had walked right into a trap. By 2 a.m., the house was silent, except for the creak of old wood settling. Marie woke first, sensing movement. She thought maybe it was a dog. Instead, she saw Evan standing in the hallway, holding something in his hand. The shadow of it painted a long, jagged shape across the floor. Investigators said the crime unfolded in less than 8 minutes. The autopsy would later confirm the brutality. His father was attacked first, the largest threat. A struggle on the stairs, blood on the banister, a fall that snapped bone. His mother next, a scream that woke the youngest sister, who ran to hide but wasn't fast enough. In every room, detectives found the same eerie detail. No signs of hesitation. Once the house fell silent, Evan showered, changed clothes, walked to the living room, sat on the couch, and wrote in his diary. That chilling line, that final message. Then he called 911 on himself. When police arrived, he was sitting calmly beside his sister's body. The investigation became national news. How could a teenager with no history of violence plan something so coordinated? Why had no one seen the warning signs? And what exactly had been on that phone that pushed everything past the edge? Detectives combed the device for weeks, uncovering layers that made even seasoned investigators shift uncomfortably in their seats. The recordings were the worst part. Hours of Evan speaking to someone who wasn't there, answering questions no one had asked, laughing at pauses in silence as though another person occupied the room with him. More disturbing was the discovery of a secret online friendship with a faceless user who went by the name Victorious Root. Their messages read like scripture to Evan. The stranger encouraged his paranoid delusions, praised his potential, and fed into the narrative that his family was against him. The final message from the user came 2 days before the murders. You know what you have to do, or you'll stay their prisoner forever. Investigators tried to track the account. They found nothing. No location, no identity, no digital footprint. The account vanished minutes after the killings. The diary revealed even more. Pages filled with lists. Every argument he'd had with his parents, every household rule he felt was persecution, every imagined slight from his sister. But mixed in were bizarrely tender entries about loving them too much, about fearing their disappointment, about wanting to cleanse the house of betrayal so everyone could be closer. It was a psychological contradiction that terrified the forensic team most. He seemed to kill out of both resentment and devotion. When the case reached court, Evan appeared hollow, eyes unfocused, like a boy caught in a storm he didn't acknowledge. Prosecutors argued he was manipulative, calculating, and fully aware of his actions. They displayed photos of the crime scene, played audio from the phone, and read aloud the diary passages that described his plan for ascension. But the defense painted a darker, more tragic picture, a teenager spiraling into untreated psychosis, pushed over the cliff by an online predator who weaponized his delusions. They argued he needed treatment, not a lifetime prison sentence. Experts debated for weeks. Was he mad, evil, or something impossible to categorize? The final twist arrived when a digital forensics specialist testified that he found what looked like timestamps inconsistent with normal message logs. The account Victorious wrote might not have been a real person at all. It could have been messages Evan sent to himself during dissociative episodes, later perceived as external because of his fractured mental state. Or it could have been something else entirely, someone guiding him, then disappearing. The court never reached a definitive conclusion. Evan was sentenced to life in a secure psychiatric facility. No parole, no release. Yet the case refuses to settle. Investigators still debate the reality of the anonymous user. Some insist it had to be external. Others swear it was an elaborate delusion. The diary only deepens the uncertainty. The last page contains a message that was never meant to be read, written in cramped, frantic letters, squeezed into margin as though he tried to hide it from himself. I didn't want to do it, but he said you were all already gone. He said I was just finishing what you started. He said you'd thank me when you woke up. To this day, no one knows who he was, or if he was ever real. And the lingering question that disturbs every person who's touched the case is the simplest one, the one investigators still whisper about. What if the boy wasn't talking to himself?